Hi, I'm Brian Tolman Gomez. I'm with the Chicago Coalition of Welcoming Churches, and we are here today to draw attention to the Supreme Court making a decision on the Defense of Marriage Act, which prevents the federal government from recognizing recognizing marriages that might happen between same-sex couples within any of the states of the United States. I'm personally most affected by immigration and the fact that the federal government, even if I marry my partner in a state like Massachusetts that allows marriage, the federal government will not recognize that my couple as being something that is deserving of immigration rights. And so therefore my husband has been deported a few years ago, and there's nothing I can do about that because I don't have any standing in under the federal government. So it's extremely important for many people based on Social Security benefits, immigration benefits, tax issues, that the federal government begin to recognize our relationships the same way that they would recognize a mixed-sex relationship. Can you get it? People access.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Let her know. She's got some, you're like, ready? Smile.
Okay. Hi, my name is Liz Bajalia, and I am just here today to show my support for LGBT rights. Well, actually, to be truthfully honest, when I was younger, I was actually slightly homophobic, but then one day I kind of started to realize is that, love is really love, and I think to suppress someone's love, something they cannot deny, is almost wrong and untrue, and I think it goes against sort of our government and the belief that equality, that everyone has the right to be with who they deserve. Yes. The Defense Against Marriage Act holds back the ability for two men or two women to get married in our government. And Proposition 8 is in California, and it is the law that goes against the original law to allow homosexual marriage in the state of California. Oh, yeah. Sure.
Hi, I'm Anna Feldman. I'm just a suburban queer girl trying to show support for to make things better. Oh gosh, a lot. So I mean, even as Illinois, gay marriage is trying to pass through the Senate and the House. It passed through the Senate, but even if DOMA doesn't get repealed, that law, that marriage that could happen, is not valid for our government. And I believe in separation of church and state, and marriage is a state thing. So keep your church beliefs out of the state. I know, there's no garbage though. Yeah, there's no garbage around here. Wait, can I see this?
not looking at her breath. I'm looking for a collar. Made a commitment ceremony a year and a half after we met. That was back in New York 2003. We did an domestic partnership. Because every left, we got a civil union. Really nuts.
Who could say that's not love?
Yeah.
Who said that? Look at me. Sure.
Well, yeah, we're going to take it.
Hi, my name's Tracy Boehm, and I'm publisher of Windy City Times newspaper, and I'm here because it's history-making time here. We're on the eve of the Supreme Court hearing. It's two important, really important marriage cases to decide marriage equality in the United States. So it's really exciting that Chicagoans decided to come out and support, because not everybody could get into the Supreme Court. So we're really happy and pushing for, marriage equality in Illinois and across the country. Okay, thanks.
Okay, I just emailed to Rob the program as I got it, okay?
Perfect, thank you very much.
Yeah, sorry. Just tell me you got it. I haven't called him. It's a lot warmer there. Good.
Thank you. Wait, do I keep the flag? What's your name? I'm Anna.
Anna? A-N-N-A? Yeah. What's your last name?
So no one gets off at 6:30?
Yeah, okay. Okay. So, cool, okay. Tell me what you're doing.
I'm here because I've always asked like, why do you think that gay marriage should be no answer
Okay. Okay. Great.
God bless her. May she rest in peace.
See my sign? You see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's your name, affiliation, and tell me why you're personally here. Why is this important to you?
Sure. My name is Stephen Barker, and I've been in Chicago for 4 years, and I've been with my partner for 7 years, and we're getting married this September, whether DOMA gets repealed or not. And even though it's not legal, it means a lot to us. But yeah, I don't know. What else?
And you're here to start your sport. Are you affiliated with any organization?
Not at all. No. I work in publishing, and I've been out for 9 years, and I think gay rights are human rights, and I'm here to show my support. So, yeah. Uh-huh.
Test, test. You might want to put it in front of the pole a little bit more. Careful. Yeah. Test, test. We live in North
Anthony, hi, it's Blair. We're wondering where you are. Hi.
What you here to call it?
My class.
He's in New York City. It's a surprise to us all. He got up and had a free ticket.
Oh, for God's sake.
Test, test. Like this.
Good afternoon, everybody. Is that too loud, or is it just right in my ear? Oh, let's point it towards those people there. Point microphone away from speaker. Hello, everyone. My name's Richard Streetman. I'm the organizer of today's event, which is also sponsored by the Civil Rights Agenda and the Gay Liberation Network. Oh, wow. So I woke up this morning, and like anybody who's been an activist for about 20 years, because I started when I was 2, I have a large flag collection. I said flag collection. And I found my pride flag and my U.S. flag, and I ran into this old thing. This right here, if you don't know, because sometimes you saw the wrong flag when you looked at my home state of South Carolina, is the South Carolina flag. Moved here 15 years ago. The funny thing about South Carolina is that when my parents went to school, it was segregated. And when I went to school, I joined a black gospel choir. Strange that a public school had one, but it is still South Carolina. That's to say that in a generation, the South changed significantly on race. Nothing's changed fully, but change can happen. And it also reminds me that today, as we gather just minutes before Passover, a holiday in the Jewish faith that commemorates the ending, or the struggle to end, oppression in the ancient Israelite community to end slavery. We didn't pick the date, folks. The Supreme Court picked the date. But on this day in 1965, it was also a day that the now famous Selma marchers finally arrived at their state capital of Montgomery to do what really the country is founded on. The Declaration of Independence talks about we have a right to petition our government for redress of grievances. That basically means we get to tell our government we want it to change. But that wasn't their first try. That was their third. The first time they left Selma, they didn't get but down the road about a piece, and it was called Bloody Sunday because of the violence. Then they tried to cross the Edmund Pettus Bridge 2 days later, had to turn around. That's Turnaround Tuesday. So once again, it took them 3 times, but change came. And so I say to all of you today, as we gather to petition our government, as those people in the past have, and we will have to in the future, that we need to tell our government one thing. Separate is not equal. Does anyone agree with me about that? So when I say separate, you all say is not equal. Separate is not equal. Separate is not equal. Separate is not equal. And we're telling the Supreme Court today that when you get up tomorrow morning and see people in 170 communities in this country that say separate You do not want to have your grandkids know you as the next Plessy versus Ferguson court. You need to do the right thing, Supreme Court. We're watching you, and we expect it. And also, while I'm on the subject, I want you all to go on your smartphones and write this down, decisionday.info. Because on whatever day this court decides what they're going to decide, Chicagoans are going to meet again. And at decisionday.info, you will find out where, because who knows when it will be, probably the latter part of June. And we're going to either celebrate if they do the right thing, protest if they do the wrong thing, or try to figure out what we're going to do if it's something in between. Thank you. I want to introduce our next speaker. I almost don't think you had to introduce her, but maybe you just moved to town from some other planet. Vernita Gray came out in 69. 65 was the other thing I was talking about. Vernita came out in 69 at Woodstock, I believe, with her girlfriend. She's one of my dearest friends, but not because of our relationship individually, because she's all of our friends. She's never met anyone she didn't work with or work for or help. So, legend, do you want to come up here? You can stay down there.
I think I have to stay down.
Okay. Legend, an amazing person who's been at every gay pride march and done everything that can be done, so she needs no introduction, Miss Vernita Gray. Thank you, Richard. Wow, not one, but two microphones. What's up with that? What, one won't do it? Okay, cheap sound system. You know, it's amazing that Richard goes back and looks at how our nation has changed in terms of African Americans and African American policies. Anybody watching basketball, NCAA? Anybody here watching any of the basketball games? That's another one. When I looked at the NCAA, I thought, look at all these black kids. I can remember when I was a kid, you didn't see black kids playing basketball on the NCAA. That wasn't happening. That didn't happen until 1963, people. Right here in Chicago, thank you, Loyola University. All right, right here in Chicago, Loyola was one of the first school to have African Americans, more than 4 on the floor playing at one time. So yes, change happens. And we look to the Supreme Court right now for some real change. It's amazing to think that there was a time in our country that a black man and a white woman couldn't get married. That's insane. Of course, our country has changed finally in 1967? Loving versus Virginia. The Supreme Court said that yes, we can have interracial marriage in this nation. It's incredible to think that. It's incredible particularly because now it's not just a black and white America, it's a black and Asian American, a black and Native American, black and Puerto Rican, black and Mexican. It's black and everybody. The kind of diversity that we have here in our country has changed and is so real right here since the 60s. But I want to say tonight to the Supreme Court that we GLBT people, we want and we need and we are going to have marriage. We are going to have marriage in the same way that we had these big-ass tax bills that we got to pay in April. I am not going to be paying first-class taxes in America and treated like a second-class citizen. That's number one. I've had it with that. I'm sick of that. When I came out in the 60s, yeah, Richard is right. We didn't link the words gay and marriage. We didn't put them together, but that was last century. Now, in this century, we put them together. Tonight, my speech is to those who did not benefit. I want to say to the Supreme Court, and I want to say to them with just a bit of sadness. No, I want to say to them with a lot of sadness what could have been for so many gay and lesbian people. Now, as I look back, and as we look back at the many gay couples that I knew who would have benefited from marriage, who lay dying from AIDS as their partners watched them, the couples that I knew could have benefited from marriage. And yet they were married. They were married in how they lived. They were married in how they loved each other. They were married in the laughter that they shared. They were married in their tears and their fun times. They were married when it was time to pay the mortgage and pay the rent and pay the bills. They were married in their love that they had for each other. But this nation that's supposed to be so free and for everyone said that they could not marry in a court. I have known many lesbians who've gone and have died from breast cancer, and from lung cancer, and from heart attacks. And I've seen how their partners have been treated. I've seen how their partners have been treated at an incredibly difficult time in their lives, that you're left to fend for yourself because you don't have any rights. Her family family comes in and takes over everything that you all have worked for and bought and paid for, and you stand there after years and years of looking. I've aged in this community, and I've seen a lot of change in this community. I've seen many servicemen and many servicewomen go to fight for our country. I've seen many lesbians and gay men go to fight for our country, but I never heard them say, I'm just fighting for gay people, V. They go and fight for all of us and for all of the nation. And so when those servicemen and those servicewomen go to fight, they got to fight next to somebody who has all kind of benefits, who when they pass, their family will get all sorts of benefits as a result of their hard work and their service and their dedication. This has denied my gay brothers and sisters who serve our country, and we've got to change this. And I'm saying to the Supreme Court tonight, we've got to change this, and we demand equality in this nation that we fight for and that we love and that we care about. All of us in this nation. We are gay, we are lesbian, we are bisexual, we are transgender, we are doing our thing in America. But we are part of the fabric of America. We are your sons and your daughters. We are your sisters and your brothers. We deserve our rights as American citizens. And so to the Supreme Court, I say, we pay your salary. Hello. I am not going to be treated differently. I am not going to be treated unequal. I deserve the right to marriage. I work for it. Thank you. All right. All right, Richard. Yeah. Come on now, baby. Okay, next up, and I promise this is not an agenda of my best friends, but they just happen to be very good activists. I don't do much out of politics, I guess. Is this gentleman hugging Vernita? I call her dad and him mom. Mr. Rick Garcia, I don't know what year he came out, and if I told you I'd get smacked, but he needs no introduction either. He's been around since the dawn of gay rights. Well, don't die tonight, Mother.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you all for being here. We are going to be witnesses of a historic moment in the United States. We are on the cusp of making sure that all of us are treated fairly and justly under the law. We call upon the Supreme Court to say no, to just say no to ballot box bigotry and overturn the anti-gay Proposition 8 in California. And we call upon the court to declare unconstitutional the Defense of Marriage Act to make sure that the opportunities and protections some of us have, all of us have. And we call upon them to make sure that we all have the same rights and recognition as our neighbors. The Supreme Court has the opportunity to affirm that all are created equal and to be treated as such under the law. But let me tell you something. If the Supreme Court doesn't do what is proper, if the Supreme Court rules against us, we are ready and willing and able to continue our fight for fairness and equality. We will fight from Nome, Alaska to Key West, Florida, from Bangor, Maine, down to Honolulu. I'd like to be in Honolulu right now. In Portland and Pittsburgh and Pocatello, we're going to stand up and fight and demand that our families, our lives, our relationships are recognized and protected. We've come a very long way, but we still have a long way to go, and we ain't no ways tired. The road to full equality is long and it is hard. We're going to reach brick walls, stumbling blocks, and setbacks. But deep in my heart, I believe that if we stand up and we're proud and we fight and we do the political work that needs to be done, we shall find equality from sea to shining sea. Thank you for being here. you for fighting. Thank you for standing up. Thank you, and may God continue to bless you.
Okay, so next up, well, first of all, let me just welcome all the media and folks in the house. We don't know all your names because there's bloggers now. You can just be anywhere. But we do know that we have CAN TV carrying this live, so if you have any friends that couldn't make it out in the weather or just don't live close by, tell them to turn it on. Also, if any of you are twittering or whatever that's called, tweeting, I don't know. What you can do is put a hashtag in there and all the national groups connect. This is one way that actually does, transmit to the national media and to the clerks of the Supreme Court who write most of the opinions, the justices' family and kids. People can express an opinion on this issue. And that is hashtag, what is it, pound, or did you say hashtag? I don't know. Bernita knows more. She's hip. Marriage for equality. So hashtag marriage for equality. Our next guest, our host, in addition to guest, is Mr. Andy Thayer of the Gay Liberation Network. Applause. Yeah. I know there are a lot of you out there, so this is your guy. Get up here, Andy.
Thank you, Richard. Over the last few days, I've been hearing a lot of discussion about the Supreme Court, the various theories they could use to decide the way they're going to do the right wing, citing something called originalism and all these obscure doctrines. But the reality is, that's bunk. The issue here is very, very simple. It is, are lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgendered people going to become citizens in this country or not? It's very simple because citizenship is defined as equal legal rights. And I know the Supreme Court, whatever decision they're going to make, they're going to obfuscate and say, well, we had this theory and that theory and so forth. It's total BS. Equal protection under the law is as valid today as it was 20, 50, 100, 200 years ago. It's very simple. What's at stake here is whether or not our community is going to mobilize enough pressure to get the job done. That's what's at stake. And that's why we are not asking the Supreme Court. We're not trying to persuade the Supreme Court. We are demanding legal equality from the court. Justice concedes nothing without a demand, and we are demanding legal equality. Now, Richard mentioned some very important dates coming up. When the Supreme Court makes its decision in June, we're all going to be coming out, yes? It's going to be someplace down here in the downtown area. We'll be announcing it soon enough. But it's very important to remember to not make the mistake of previous movements where we think that progress is inevitable. It is not inevitable. All you have to do is look at other places around the world where LGBT people are being beaten and killed by their own governments for just who they are. We live in a very dangerous world, and we can never, never rest. So if we win with the Supreme Court, we should not lie there, because we know from the history of previous social movements, the African American movement for equality that began many, many decades ago and crested in the mid-60s, that even when African Americans won formal legal equality, there was so much more that needed to be won, and Dr. King and so many others, to their credit, kept on fighting after they won formal legal equality. We need to do the same, because we will not have safe schools no matter what the Supreme Court decides. We will not have respect for homeless LGBT youth no matter what the court decides. We need to fight not only for legal equality, we need to fight for full social equality with our non-LGBT brothers and sisters. We would not have gotten to this day without marching. And that's why we're going to be marching today, because we need to tell our fellow Chicagoans
that they need to join this justice struggle. But I'll tell you what, we need to join other justice struggles as well, because we are a rainbow community. And we live in a country where teachers are under attack, where immigrants are under attack, when African Americans are under attack, who are all part of our LGBT community. And we are not deserving of legal equality for ourselves if we are not standing up for every other person who is oppressed in our society. So, let's attend the teachers' rally on Wednesday. Yes, you've all heard about it. Bring your rainbow flag so everyone knows you're there, okay? Because we're all in this together. So I'm going to hand this back over to Richard. I think we're going to be marching pretty soon here. Got a couple more people, okay. Thank you very much. Keep up the fight.
We had Precious Davis scheduled to speak tonight. Unfortunately, she wasn't feeling well, but I just want to acknowledge that because we would never have a program, or at least I would, without having people from the trans community speak. I think there will be time at the second part after we march to Pioneer Court where other people from the community will speak, and hopefully if there's someone out there that feels they can speak for the trans community, has something to say, they will do that there. Our next speaker is Miss Kim Hunt. She's from Affinity Community Services. It is a black LGBT organization on the south side of Chicago, the whole city actually, and she's coming up right now to speak. But she said she's cold, she's not taking her coat off.
I'm a sister, I'm not taking my hat off or my coat off. I want to thank you all for coming out on this cold, cloudy day to talk about such a very, very important issue. As Richard said, I'm from Affinity Community Services, which is an organization that works with the black LGBT community, queer youth, and allies. Although we're housed on the south side, we work all over the city. And we are so honored to be here today to talk about this very, very, very important issue for all of our constituents. And I especially want to thank Andy for his words about acknowledging the full rainbow under this, that's part of this very diverse community. Affinity was created 20 years ago to create visibility for black people in the LGBT community and LGBT people in the black community. And as part of that, many of our constituents have been black, lesbian, and bisexual women. As you know, the structural and gender issues related to race and gender and public policy really impact these vulnerable families that are part of the LGBT community. And marriage equality is essential. It's a civil right, but it's also a path to economic security for vulnerable families in our community. Many of our constituents have children. Many of our constituents are in loving families. And if other people have the right to marriage, our constituents should have the right to marriage too, and everyone should. So I am honored today to have Affinity's voices part of this very important message. And to the Supreme Court we say, marriage equality now. Thank you. Richard? Richard is posing for a photo right now. He's such a diva. Richard, darling. Where are you? Here he is. I'm done. Yeah. Sorry about it. You got quiet for a minute. I was like, what's going on? Okay, our next speaker, Reverend, you're up. This young lady here is an ordained Lutheran pastor. She has her daughter here who I don't... Go Lutherans! Yeah, we were looking for a rabbi, but they were booked tonight. So we got us a good Lutheran from Romeoville, Illinois. Our Good Shepherd congregation, right? There you go. Here, now you hold both of them. Maybe your daughter can help you. First of all, there are gays in Romeoville. How about that? Actually, in the suburbs, right? So I wanted to be clear about what I said. Some of you may have heard me speak in the past. I usually speak with no notes off the cuff, but I didn't want to do that today. So, greetings, fellow justice seekers. Are there any justice seekers out there? As Richard said, my name is Reverend Suzanne Anderson Hurdle. I am an ordained Lutheran pastor. I'm the right kind of Lutheran that A, most importantly, ordains women, And B is for gay equality. And I am a Christian. I am a supporter of marriage equality. I am straight. I am a married mother of 3, one of whom is here with me today, my daughter Courtney. My husband Steve and I have taught our children from birth that they are loved for who they are, no matter what. We've taught our children that loving others is one of the most important things we will ever do in this life, in part because of our faith and in part because it's just who we are at our core. We've taught them that accepting people for who they are, as God created them, is important, and that we should stand up for justice for all God's children, especially when others try to bring them down. Amen? Amen. And let me just say, I only had 3 minutes, so I didn't want to get too much, but I want to say this. I'm tired of the word toleration. I'm tired of saying, let's tolerate. It is not about tolerating, it is about accepting. Right? We tolerate things we don't like. We accept everything. And I am not going to tolerate. I'm going to accept. And that's what I'm teaching my kids, I hope. Right? I have had the privilege of testifying twice before committees in the Illinois House, first in support of civil unions and just recently in support of marriage equality. For me, this fight is not a religious one in the sense that no one's religious beliefs, including my own, should stand in the way of another American citizen having the same rights that I have. However, it has become somewhat of a religious fight for me, rather against my choice, solely because I am tired of those who stand against equality using the sacred book that I believe in and look to as a reason to withhold rights from others. The Bible that I look to and believe in is a story of God's love for all his children. Time and again, examples of hypocrisy among religious leaders are called out by Jesus. He looks instead to the ones that are left out of religion to share his messages of inclusion and welcome. So, if some want to make this a religious fight, I am ready. I've got my armor of God in my car and I am ready to fight for my daughter, for my sons Justin and Ryan, for their friends, and for all God's children. As I said in my testimonies before the House, I am not here as a representative of the Christian Church, the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, or even my congregation, Good Shepherd. Instead, I am here as an American citizen, an Illinoisan, and yes, a Christian woman who believes strongly in the right of all people to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. When the justices begin hearing testimony on the Prop 8 and DOMA cases, I hope they will think about our Constitution. I hope that they will think about the words that are engraved on the outside of the very building in which they sit, which read, equal justice under law. Did you know that? It's on the darn Supreme Court building. Isn't it about time we actually live it out? I don't believe you. Isn't it about time we win that out? I hope that those justices think about the final words from the Pledge of Allegiance, which I'm sure they have recited many times, with liberty and justice for all. And it doesn't say some, it says all. Let me say one last thing, because I was quoted at the last rally I spoke at, and I kind of think I made some people mad. Oh well, but let me just say one more thing. Lest I am misquoted or misunderstood, I hold marriage in very high esteem. Having been married almost 22 years, I know the hard work, love, and commitment it takes. I also know that when I performed the wedding ceremony for our friends Alan and Bob, it had no negative effects on my marriage. In fact, like most times when I perform a marriage, it only served to remind me of my own words and the commitment that I made to my husband, Steve. Yeah, he's worth cheering for. Yeah. When I have the privilege, and I say when, I have the privilege of marrying more of our friends like Chris and Audrey, Tana and Tammy, Ron and Tim, Craig and Bruce, and many, many more, as soon as Illinois enacts marriage equality, which it will do, I look forward to celebrating with them and their families. And when DOMA is repealed, which it will be, yes? I will know that this country, or at least the major part of it, actually believes the words we value and hold up from our Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men, and dare I say women, are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Amen? The time is now for these rights to be given to all American citizens who desire them, not just a select few who think they deserve them more than others, or who think they have a moral right to them above and beyond anyone else. My fight for this will continue, and I will continue to make my voice heard. Please know you have support. You have support and allies who care so much about you. Know that you are loved. Because I know somewhere out here today, there's someone who doesn't know that, or if you know it, you don't believe it. If you hear nothing else today, know that you are loved for who you are as God created you. And know this, that someday, very soon, you will proudly be able to stand before your friends and family and say to your Steve, like I once did mine, I do.
Oh, I wish I could be the Steve. Sounds great. Or maybe a couple. I don't know if I'm going to stand on this thing again. I think y'all know what I look like. Everybody, it's been a wonderful time. We've gathered together. It's almost sundown, so Passover's about to begin. If you do not have your own candle, the Reverend was so kind as to bring battery-operated candles. They're schmancy. And then over here somewhere, okay, the Gay Liberation Network has modems in a cup, but I forgot to bring the nice ladders, so when you try to light, you're going to burn your thumb. But just, take turns. Don't someone try to light them all. Thumb surgery's bad. At any rate, I'm going to hand the microphone over to Andy, but before I do that, I want to remind you, write this down. It shouldn't be too hard. DecisionDay.info, which is where you go to get info about Decision Day. So we'll have a chance for the community to sort of say what we want to do and where we want to meet, but that's where we're going to kind of try to put everything together. But Andy's going to tell you how we're going to march, where we're going, and also we need volunteers to do some stuff he's going to tell you about. Thank you so much.
Yes, we do need volunteers, so we are going to march because we know it's cold out here, but we need some help from you all. So after I'm through talking here, please come up. Here is the route. We're going to be marching east on Jackson, behind you here, over to State, north on State to Wacker, Wacker over to Michigan, and then end at the Tribune Plaza by the Tribune Tower there. But before we do that, please, if a few people could come up here to help us with a few things, we'd greatly appreciate it. We're going to march in just a second. March, there's a court program.
Like wrap it up and put it back.
Okay, Mitch, today. Yes, good to see you. Good job.
I labeled one. Todavía no.
Pero ponlo ahí.
horrible. He goes, a good movie. Tom. Me over here.
We're all LGBT. Which one? Equality and the same rights as our heterosexual counterparts to get married.
No sé si son esos teléfonos.
We need someone to help us lead chant, okay? There we go. Let's start the march. Got a rail now.
Yeah, I made it over there. I saw Tracy, and I saw Lucas shooting for us.
I think we got enough of them out already, so that's good enough.
Actually, yeah, I want to shoot.
We got a couple more signs here if people can pick them up.
Well, I messed up and I took the claim off video.
Okay, well, let's march. What do we want? Marriage equality. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Marriage equality. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Marriage equality. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Marriage equality. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Marriage equality. When do we want it? Now. What do we do we demand it? What do we demand? When do we demand it? What do we demand? When do we demand it? What do we demand? When do we demand it? What do we demand? When do we demand it? What do we demand? When do we demand it? What do we demand? When do we demand it? What do we demand?
Now.
want it now? What do we want? Marriage equality. What do we want it now? What do we want? Marriage equality. What do we want it now? What do we want? Marriage equality. What do we want it now? What do we want? Marriage equality. What do we want it now? What do we want? Marriage equality. What do we want it now? What do we want? Marriage equality. What do we want it now? What do we want? Marriage equality. What do we want it now? What do we want? Marriage equality. What do we want it now? What do we want? Marriage equality. What do we want it now? What do we want? Marriage equality. What do we want it now? What do we want? Marriage equality. What do we want it now? What do we want? Marriage equality. What do we want it now? What do we want? Marriage equality. What do we want it now? What do we want? Marriage equality. What do we want it now? What do we want? Marriage equality. What do we want it now? What do we want? Marriage equality. What do we want it now? What do you want? Marriage equality. What do you want it? We demand equality. LGBT, 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 we demand equality. We demand equality. LGBT, 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 we demand equality. We demand equality. LGBT, we demand equality. We demand equality. LGBT, we demand equality. LGBT, we demand equality. LGBT, we demand equality. LGBT, we demand equality. We demand equality. LGBT, we demand equality. We demand equality. LGBT, we demand equality. LGBT, we demand equality. We demand equality. LGBT, 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 we
demand equality. LGBT, we demand equality. LGBT, we demand equality.
LGBT.
We demand equality. LGBT, we demand equality.
LGBT.
We demand equality. LGBT, we demand equality. LGBT, we demand equality. We demand equality.
We all LGBT.
We demand equality. LGBT, we demand equality. LGBT, we demand equality. LGBT, we demand equality. We demand equality. LGBT, we demand equality. We demand equality. LGBT. 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 We demand equality. We demand equality. LGBT. LGBT.
We demand equality.
LGBT. We demand equality.
We demand equality.
LGBT. We demand equality. LGBT. 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 We demand equality. LGBT. We demand equality.
LGBT.
We demand equality.
LGBT.
We demand equality.
LGBT.
We demand equality. LGBT.
We demand equality.
We demand equality.
LGBT.
We demand equality.
LGBT.
Hello, hello, hello.
Equal right. Now. Equal right. Woo! 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 She's like, and I'm like, what? And there's a big problem.
That's why I had it because one in the phone.
See if we can still look at it.
It's up to you guys.
I was ready to say, what are you laughing at? And then that woman, you have a problem?
My dad got it over there.
Paul should share my hand warmer, because obviously he's not using it.
How are your hands not freezing? Here. Oh, you finally decided to let me borrow some gloves.
I forgot, okay?
This is toasty. What the hell is this?
Hand warmer.
I know. Doesn't it make your hands feel cold? I've never.
Never go camping or...
I haven't gone camping in like 10 years. We demand equality! We demand equality!
That lasts 10 hours, so I'll
We
be...
demand equality! We demand equality! We demand equality!
Sorry.
We demand equality! Wait your turn! We demand equality! 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 We
marriage equality.
Walking now.
Oh, finally.
We have known that the standard of equal protection under law as long should have included LGBT people. But this court, with its idiots like Scalia and Thomas and the other clowns, may not go for that. They may go for a rotten compromise, in which case we've got to protest. This notion that we need to take things slowly is BS. It's total BS. We have the polls moving in our direction. We have our families moving in our directions. We have schools, businesses, churches moving in our direction. Even Republican politicians moving in our direction. Now is the time to strike while the iron is hot. So we should not accept any rotten compromise, anything short of full equality under the law. LGBT! We as an LGBT people need more than simple legal equality. If the struggle of African Americans showed us legal equality is not all it's cracked up to be, that there's many, many other things that we in our LGBT community need and demand. From the court, we're going to demand nothing less than full legal equality, equal protection under the law. So on the day of decision, when there's three choices the court basically has, we can choose one, total defeat, two, mealy-mouthed compromise, or three, victory. I, for one, will only settle for number three. Victory! Now, Michael Abuza, I know, is amongst those who are going to speak up here. Someone could grab the... Okay, Michael, come on up here.
No retreat! No surrender! LGBT! We want our rights! And we want them now! LGBT!
We demand equality! My name is Michael, and I'm from Bisexual Queer Alliance Chicago. And in the LGBT community, the B is always overlooked. We're gay or transgender. Bisexuals are also in this audience. There is no open bisexual speaker. There is no open bisexual speaker up in front, but there is now. Whether we are staying invisible or we're not, we still need to walk with our gay, lesbian, and transgender brothers and sisters. Sometimes society still thinks that couples are gay or straight. Marriage and marriage equality have a bisexual erasure to them both. So why do bisexuals care at all? Because we understand what it's like to live with our civil rights as a human visibility taken from us, even in the LGBT community, most of the time. But we will walk with the straight community. We will walk with the LGBT community, because bisexual people also exist. We have a bi flag and the same human rights to be visible.
Thank you. You want to hold this a second?
And also with Bisexual Queer Alliance Chicago, we have members that are asexual, we have pansexual, we have intersex, we have people who don't identify, we have straight allies, we have all walks of life. And next time somebody comes to you and says that they're different than you, please do not question them, because you don't want to be questioned. So what, bisexuals are not gay enough or straight enough. Bisexuals are bisexual enough because people are people, and that's no matter who and what our birthright is. And last but not least, I am Brother Michael. I'm a religious person, and for those of us who don't believe in God and church, time to separate church and state, 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 separate church and state. Thank you very much. Are you next? I'd like to introduce one of my heroes who started Bert and Ernie Gets Married, the one and only Lear.
Thanks, Michael. Oh, my name is Larry Scott, and I'm queer. I run Queerfest America right here in the Midwest in Chicago, Illinois. And we're going to come to your city pretty soon to help all the LGBT social services and whatnot. Don't forget, June is Gay Pride Month right here around the country, around the world. One time in 1989, I attempted to adopt a little girl. I was discriminated against many different agencies for many different reasons. At the time, I was married to a gentleman, and well, anyway, it screwed up our relationship because his parents couldn't accept the idea that his son and his husband was going to have a daughter. So, since then, I've been on my own. Anyway, I'm a global activist. I'm introduced Bert and Ernie to Get Married in August of 2011. That's been going quite well, actually, because it's not, Bert and Ernie was a test for the world for acceptance and education in children's programming. We need education in children's programming so that our kids will grow up and take over what we are here now for. LGBT!
We demand equality!
LGBT!
We demand equality!
Thank you everyone for coming out. I think Andy's got some more words for you. Where'd he go? Oh, this is an... Andy, say there, everyone. Sorry, I wasn't expecting it. The main thing is that we need to keep this going, okay? We cannot rest on our laurels. Civil rights is a process. It's not a one-shot deal. So on the day of decision, it's going to happen on a weekday, sometime in June, we need to be out there because regardless of the outcome, if it's number one, that totally sucks, and we need to protest and demand it the way we did after when we lost Bowers versus Hardwick. We need to demand. If it's a mealy-mouthed compromise, we need to say that that's not enough. And we need to tell any of our leaders who say that's enough that we disagree with them vehemently. And as number 3, we need to take that gain and spread it as far and wide as possible. And here's why. Back in 1954, Brown versus Board of Education, Topeka, Kansas, the United States supposedly desegregated not just our school systems, but every other public institution. Guess what? Nothing happened. Nothing happened. It took the civil rights movement of people dying and marching and being in the streets of America to make true civil rights progress. So even if we have the best solution that we want in June, we cannot rest on our laurels. We need that not only to win full legal equality, we need to demand social equality. We need to demand things like pro-LGBT education in our schools, homeless shelters for LGBT kids, because our community is uniquely spread out. We don't, as we're growing up, have an elder that we can look to for sustenance the way that other minority communities often can. And so our LGBT youth are disproportionately homeless, are disproportionately forced into the sex trade and so forth. So we need to not just rest with legal equality, we need to go full force towards social equality. So I think we're going to wrap it up there. There are clipboards going around through the audience now. If you want to keep in touch with future actions, please sign up. This way we'll be able to contact you immediately when there is a decision from the Supreme Court. If there's other emergency actions that need to be taken, we can get in touch with you. And we can also get in touch with you about other important social issues. With the sequester and the budget cutbacks, all of our LGBT social services are under threat. We no doubt will have to be out in the streets to defend these programs. We will no doubt have to be out in the streets in solidarity with others facing cuts and attacks, such as the teachers and their rally in support of stopping the school closings at 4 p.m. on Wednesday at Daly Plaza. If we want solidarity with our struggles for LGBT equalities, we need to demand and stand up for others who are also fighting for justice. There's more than enough money in the city to have quality schools with low class sizes, teacher-to-pupil ratios, and so forth, but it's only going to get that way if we demand it. So please, come out into the streets on Wednesday, keep up the struggle. We've got a long road ahead of us, regardless of where the court rules. Thank you very much. Oh, if people could bring their flags and signs up towards me here, also wherever the other sound system went. Yeah.
We don't want it. I don't want it. Really. No.